Good evening, everybody. This is Robin with another edition of Horror Pop After Midnight. And my guest tonight is Alexis Nelson, who's a producer and also part of Fort Argyle Films. And also I have director-writer William Mark. How do you pronounce your last name? I don't want to pronounce it wrong. Mccullough?
Mccullough. William Mark Mccullough.
Okay, thank you guys. Oh, hey, there you are. Thank you for coming on.
Oh, we're excited to be on here. Love talking.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. I enjoyed Savannah Haunting. And the cool thing I liked about the film was it was filmed in a legit haunted house with a lot of paranormal happenings going on, which I'm really big into the paranormal. That really intrigued me. So, Alexis, how did you and Mark decided to write the script and film it in his haunted home?
You know, it came over a lot of time, right? So Mark and I had worked together for years. We met back at UCLA, and we just had a really great friendship, and we worked really well together. And he moved from Los Angeles back to Savannah, Georgia, where he's from, and he went back to the house that, he'd grown up there. His dad built the home, his family, all the siblings, they grew up here in the house. And I was staying the night there, and I came just to visit, offer moral support. I think maybe the first time I'd even been around Christmas. It was a holiday. And I'm upstairs, sleeping in the floral bedroom that you've seen in the movie. And out of nowhere, it's the middle of the night, and I feel like something's watching me. And I wake up. It's probably, 3, 4 in the morning. And I look down at my feet, and all the blankets, everything around my feet just dropped down. It was so frightening. And I laid there, afraid to move. And then something next to me just screamed at me in this strange demonic. It kind of sounded like something going through a radio. And it yelled and screamed at me. And so I laid there. I was, very afraid to move, to leave, because I didn't want to have to walk down. You've seen the house, but there's the mezzanine. Then you have to go down the staircase, past the aquarium, into the main house. And I didn't want to do this. I waited until the sun came up, and I came downstairs, and I laid on the couch. I waited for everyone to wake up, and Mark's dad came out, and he said, why are you sleeping on the couch? Why aren't you upstairs? And I said, it's haunted up there. I said, oh, yeah, I know, sweetheart, I know. So he knew all along. I didn't know. Nobody told me that there were ghosts up there. And Mark and I were talking about what's our next project? What's it going to be? And we're like, why don't we tell the story about this house? We started diving into it and realizing, so many people had experienced hauntings here, and it wasn't just us. It went way back, all the way, Civil War, even past that. So that's how we were inspired to create, this story and this idea. And Mark is the one who actually wrote it and can tell you more about that process.
Yeah, Mark, tell me about the little process. And did it kind of feel kind of eerie and weird at the same time you were filming your story in the same haunted house you grew up in?
Well, first, with the writing of the script, it was an experience because I wrote the script here at the house. And while I was working on the script, things started amping up, the energy in the house really got amped up. I've grown to learn now that the things that are in the house, I think, like the attention of the film. They really enjoy people knowing about them being here. So an interesting aspect of writing it, basically, you've seen the movie, so
yes.
And I won't go any spoilers, but what we did is we took the characters. I just made up characters, right?
Yes. But
the things that the characters experience are things that real people have experienced in this house, up until the very climax of the movie. Now, obviously, things happen in the very last 10 minutes of the movie are not things that happen to anyone in the house. But up to that point, those things have happened to various folks. And so what we want to do is capture, number one, what it's like to actually be in a haunted house.
Yeah.
Because generally speaking, blood's not pouring out of the walls. It's this subtle, creeping dread that seems to, make the walls slowly close in on you. But there were some aspects of the story that I thought I made up, only to learn later. After we did the film, we started doing a documentary about the history of the house,
yeah,
the experiences people had, and so forth. We learned that several of the really critical things that I had made up were actually true.
No kidding.
So one of them being the the idea that there was a plantation home here on the property that burned down during the Civil War. I completely made that up. It absolutely happened, and we have, we got the historians in, we got all the historical documents backing up, the history of the plantation. With the little girl, I had one experience with a little girl's voice outside that upstairs floor bedroom, whispering my name, which I actually mentioned during the closing credits of the movie.
Yeah.
That had been the only experience I had with the little girl. But when we started interviewing people, there were dozens of people who had seen the little girl, had heard her laugh, heard her cry. So it was kind of interesting. Now, when it comes to the filming, it was surreal because I live in the house. So even if we were making a comedy, it's still weird to film in a place that you live in, right?
I know. If I was in your situation, I'd be like, why am I doing this? Yeah, I don't want anybody to go see my bedroom.
And as you see, and the crazy thing is, my dad had furnished the house, and it was really interesting, unique furniture. So what you see in the movie is exactly what the house looks like. Like all the bedroom shots with the mom and the dad. Mm-hmm. That's the bed I sleep on, and that's the dresser that's in the room. Like the only thing that was a little different, the upstairs floral bedroom, we put little girl stuff in there, obviously, because of the nature of the movie. So, but that was the only room that we kind of changed up. Most of the rooms were pretty much what we were, what's here. But it was interesting for me because, we were having some pretty, our crew and some of our cast were getting pretty freaked out because they were experiencing things while we were filming. So kind of keeping them calm down and make sure they came back to work every day was a little tough. But also just the idea of, I had a big, huge semi-trailer in my driveway for months, and, it had like all the film equipment here. So all my neighbors were like, what's going on? What's happening here? But it was interesting. It was definitely, it was a unique experience to film in the house that I live in, and to, like we captured, it looks as if that some of the supernatural stuff, we certainly got it in some of the behind the scenes camera footage.
Yeah.
But since the movie came out, we've had several people reach out to us with frames from the movie that show something in the background that we didn't put there. Right.
Oh, wow.
Because there are definitely a lot of creepy things we put in the movie, like for fun.
Of course.
There have been several things that are just like, it looks like a spirit or a ghost, whatever, standing in the background that we didn't do it, So it's kind of interesting.
That's pretty good. And the story is about a family that moves to Savannah after they lost their daughter in a tragic drowning, and they come to this house, which really invested me in the film. And the actress who played Lilith, she gave me the creeps, man.
Yeah,
that's funny. She's great.
Yeah, that's Tommy Rose. She's amazing, and we saw a lot of actresses for that role. And when we saw her initial audition, and we were like, "Wow, she's amazing!" And then she did her callback over Zoom, and she was just great. She was easy to work with, fun. But she was definitely able to bring her creepy vibe. And in real life, she's not creepy at all. She's very charming and sweet. But she definitely brought it for the film.
What was interesting about her, too, is she can play just so many different roles. I mean, it's important for Lilith. As you've seen in the movie, she can play, this creepy, scary character, but she can also just be like sweet, seductress. And then there's some other, historical parts that are important for her to be sweet,
Yeah, that's what was so good about it, and especially the pool scene between her and William, man. That kind of got a little steamy and a little paranormal at the same time. I was like,
well, you mean her and Dean, or her and
the dad?
Eric is the dad.
Yeah, Eric. Yeah, her and Eric. Yeah. Boy, that got steamy. If I was in that position, I'd be like, this is kind of weird. I don't know you, and you're in the back of my house, I'm in this like historical area and stuff. I gotta go. She was great. I loved this, the cinematography, how you did the certain shots and angles and certain scenes where each scene had like a mood, like a certain mood of how the actors portrayed off of their, attitudes and stuff, from being like really scared, and you can feel it in each room, and the photography was phenomenal in the film too.
Thank you. One of the things we wanted to kind of give a sense that the house was a character, and we have a lot of scenes where we wanted to feel like the house was watching them, right? Like there was just like literally there's something in the air that's there in the room, kind of looking at this family that's kind of come into its space.
Yes.
And it doesn't like being in its space.
Yeah, and the part where you're like in the room with all the ghosts from the past, where the Dean came in. Oh man, and Lilith, boy, that was a great scene. I really loved that, man. I felt it. I felt like I was in the room, and it gave me the willies. And I love horror films, and I don't get scared that easily. But for some reason, that certain scene, I felt like I was in there, and I was just blown away. I was pretty freaked out.
Awesome. What's cool about that scene, number one, there's this beautiful extra in the scene who, she was so stunning. She really stood out. There on the left side of the screen. That was Alexis.
Yeah, I play a lot of beautiful roles in this movie. Yes. It's really, I think that the whole movie, definitely benefited from having me as an extra in 15 different places. No, I'm just kidding.
She was like a high school student.
COVID, right? Yeah. It was because of COVID. It was so expensive to bring in extras, and we just had limits on how many people we could bring in. So, we really had to wait and, think through, all right, how many people can we use from our crew in these scenes? And that was really funny. So, I played a high school student. I'm like a park goer, I'd walk by with a hat, and then I wouldn't have a hat, and then I'd have a different sweater on. We had fun, though. It was really fun.
Yeah. But, the thing that I thought was really interesting about that plantation party scene is it is very creepy, but it's creepy that, like, most of the ghosts are beautiful women and beautiful
guys. I noticed that.
Dudes, but they're so creepy when they turn and start coming towards Eric, the dad. Like, it's very unsettling.
It was, because I felt like I was in there with them, and I felt like I was back and going, okay, where's the door? I mean, hey, it's like, you guys are cool. I don't want to be part of this party. You guys can go have fun, and I'll just slowly creep out. That whole scene in that movie really creeped me out, and Rose did a good job. She nailed her role. From being like an innocent young woman, and then she ends up being like this demonic entity. She just nailed it. I was just blown away by her performance.
Oh yeah, she was amazing. And a fun little trivia fact for the plantation party scene.
Okay.
My real brother is one of the extras in the scene. He's the one who slams the door behind Eric.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so it's kind of fun getting to use some of my real family and old friends in the film. It was really cool.
So, and you guys did a lot of special effects on that, especially like made the faces real ghostly and demonic. How did you do that? That just looked so real.
That's Alexis.
Yeah, Alexis, how did you...
It was a combination. Yeah, so for those faces, what we did on those faces, it's a mix of special effects and visual effects. So they actually do have makeup on. The makeup artist it's basically kind of like a blue ghostly foundation over their skin, and it's a little bit blotchy to kind of create an uneasy ghostly feel. And then obviously the eyes were, well, not obviously, but yeah, we did the eyes in visual effects. So that was all done in post-production. Sometimes people will do things like contact lenses, that kind of thing, but we really wanted to have control over it, and so we did all the black eyes that you've seen in the entire movie are all done in visual effects later.
So pretty cool. And while you were filming, I know you had to have a little bit of people, so was it kind of hard during when COVID hit? And I know during that you guys also did a documentary, which William also mentioned. So, how did you guys do the documentary while you were waiting to get back onto the set when the whole outbreak happened?
Well, Alexis and her family had come from LA to Savannah because we were supposed to start filming March 23rd, 2020.
Yeah.
And we got shut down 2 days beforehand. So she was here, and we couldn't film a movie under SAG.
Yeah.
So we had always planned on doing the documentary, and it just actually worked out, like, because we were shut down for 5 months, we were able to really focus on it, and we're able to do most of the documentary, during that hiatus.
Yeah.
We still work, even now we're still doing stuff for the documentary because there's so many, we just keep finding more and more stuff, one thing leads to another. But it's kind of funny, me and Alexis, we would joke a lot that I would call her the ghost huntress because, just her and I, like, out exploring. And I mean, we went to this like voodoo village. Okay. And we just went in, and like started talking to people and trying to get answers to things. And we're under the house, looking for clues. I mean, it was actually super fun working on the documentary. And now editing a documentary is a different story, but shooting it was really fun. It's like we were just like on a crazy ghost exploration, historical inquest. So it was cool.
Yeah, I liked it. I like how you guys did the documentary. Some of it kind of reminded me of watching a professional documentary that you would see on the Travel Channel, where you'll see like these people, sitting there going, talking about their story. I just loved the feel of that documentary. It felt like I was watching a legit, paranormal investigator type of documentary.
We're certainly hoping that's what people are going to feel when they watch the documentary, because we put a lot of time and effort. I mean, Alexis directed it, and she's like taking the lead on that. But I think it's going to be really good. It's going to be really creepy and scary. I mean, we got a lot of footage of real stuff that happened in the house. Security cam footage. We've had a lot of paranormal investigators and mediums come to the house and capture some interesting stuff. So it'll be. I think the audience will really enjoy seeing kind of the true story that inspired the movie. I think it'll be fun for them.
I think it will be fun because I watched it because I'm a big fan of paranormal stuff, and I've been on a lot of paranormal investigations too because I know people in the field. And when I found out about this movie, I go, "This is interesting. I got to check out the movie." But yeah, you did pretty good, and like I said, the photography was phenomenal. I did like the cinematography. And the editing was pretty good too. I mean, you knew how to edit the film just in the right places. I noticed that in the film. Yeah, because, I'm a fan of cinematography and editing in films. I know it's weird, but, I can just like, okay, he did it this way. This is, okay, I like how he did this angle. And also...
Now, let me ask you this question real quick about the movie, because,
okay.
Like I said, Alexis and I spent a lot of time putting in these little creepy things in the movie, like in the background.
Yeah.
A lot of people wouldn't notice. They're very subtle. Like there's shadow. We call the character Shadow Man, but it's this shadowy figure that is in quite a few scenes, just sitting at a table in a corner, standing somewhere. And it's interesting because we found like about 5% of the audience catches each of those moments that we put in, but there's a couple that we haven't heard from anyone that they actually saw the stuff we did there because it's so subtle. So did you notice any of those?
Yeah, I noticed one in the room, but I wasn't quite sure. I did notice the shadowy figure, but I didn't know if you added it in or if it was legit because I knew you were in a haunted house, and I saw one scene and I was like, okay, they're filming this. Did they notice this shadow figure? And, I didn't know if you guys added it in or if it was real. And I'm glad you explained that to me because I was going to get ready to ask you about this. Yeah, I did see one shadow figure in one scene of the film.
Well, again, we've heard from a couple people that there are a couple of shadow figures that we did not put into the film.
Well, I saw one. I don't know if it was the one you put in or not. It was like eerie.
Do you remember what scene it was?
I think it was in the room with, like you mentioned, the table. Uh-huh. I don't know if you made that or not. And then
he was sitting at the table.
Yeah, I don't know if that was. You made that one. Okay, I saw that one, but I didn't see the other one, so I need to go back and watch it again so I can find those shadowy people. Now you got me. Now you got me invested. Now, so I have to go back and watch the movie so I can point out the shadow people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there's one that no one has found, and I'm not going to tell you where it is.
Okay.
It's more fun that way. But maybe you'll find it. But it's towards the beginning of the movie, and no one has reached out and actually been able to find it yet. Even one of the fans of the movie has seen it, I think 23 times or something.
Wow.
He's counting, right? But and he still hasn't found it. So it's kind of fun.
Well, thanks, Alexis. Now you got me curious. Now I'm going to have to watch it a bunch of times just to find it. And if I find it, I'm going to video it and send it to you guys and go, look, I found it.
Perfect.
So when you grew up,
you're probably going to be distracted with some other things. But the problem, so what we did is we made sure it wasn't, clear foreground. Like there's other things going on around it that are distracting. So it's like you have to be looking in the corners and behind people in order to find some of these.
All right, thank you for the clues. Mark, when you grew up in this haunted house, were you a skeptic, or were you really into the paranormal? Did you believe in ghosts and all that?
Well, a couple things. One is my mom and dad divorced when I was a little kid, so I was in this house all the time. But I actually grew up with my mom, very close by. Like literally, we lived a quarter mile down the road. So I was here on the weekends and summers. I've never been a skeptic, and I also was never. I just didn't think about it much, right? We knew the house had some creepy stuff going on, and I always kind of knew it was haunted, but I didn't think too much into it because it seemed very light and mischievous. Right?
Yeah.
And what I noticed is through the years, it got more and more intense. So when I moved back to Savannah, it was terrifying. It was so bad that, I'm a grown man.
Yeah.
And I was afraid to walk upstairs in the middle of the day. If I had to come upstairs, I would call Alexis in LA, be on the phone with her, literally, to walk upstairs. And that upstairs bedroom, it was just off limits because there was something in that room that was so terrifying. So, like I said, when I came back to Savannah, it wouldn't matter what I was; it just hit me in the face, right? There's been a lot of people who came to this house as absolute skeptical non-believers, and after a few days, they did not leave as non-believers because it's just so active, people who, I had a friend stay here who didn't believe in anything. He's like, I think that's all crap. And he was staying in that upstairs floral bedroom. And he said every night about midnight, 12:30, the whole bed would just start to shake.
Wow.
And so he started playing. He felt like it was a little girl. He felt this little girl energy. So he started playing cartoons on his iPad at night. And he said he felt like it calmed her down. It's been... I don't know that it's ghost, right? I don't know that it's ghost. And I just know there's something that's not explained. Because an interesting thing with the Savannah Haunting, I'll give you a hint about a Savannah Haunting and the nature of the haunting, right? Because there's a lot of questions in the movie, right? But there are no ghosts in a Savannah Haunting.
Oh, wow. I like that.
There are no ghosts.
Well, that's...
And... that may get explained later at some point in more detail, but that's just a hint as to the nature of what's going on here. And the reason I did that is because I don't know what's going on here, right? I just don't know. There's lots of people, lots of different theories, but at the end of the day, Alexis has some really strong theories about what's happening here, and we've got some historical documentation to back up her theories. And I was like, that sounds very reasonable, but at the end of the day, I don't know. I don't know. I just know that I've seen things, I've heard things, I've experienced things that are not of this world.
Wow. So where can everybody catch A Savannah Haunting if they want to watch it?
It's on Amazon Prime, it's on iTunes, it's on YouTube, it's on Google Play, it's on Vudu. If you have Comcast, it's video on demand. If you have Spectrum, it's video on demand. Basically, if you just Google A Savannah Haunting, 15 things will pop up. But let me just say this too when you ask that, because unfortunately in this industry, there are people who steal movies, right? And I know people who are good people who would never walk into a Target and shove a DVD down their pants and walk out because they would think that's shoplifting and that's wrong. Yet they'll use a Fire Stick that's jailbroken to illegally watch movies, or they'll go on these pirate websites and download movies. And here's, as an independent filmmaker who, like Alexis and I, spent 10 years of our life like trying to get this thing going, and then we spent 2.5 years working 14 hours a day for no money to make this movie. So I just implore people, please don't steal the movie. You know, we're not Marvel and we're not DC. Like, it affects us. And if you want to see another movie, if you want to see a sequel or prequel or something else, the only way that happens is if audiences actually pay for the movie so that we can like make another one, you know?
That's awesome. Alexis and William, thank you for coming on and sharing your story with me. I had a blast.
Me too. Thank you for having us. You had some really great questions.
I hope you guys had fun, because I try to make it fun. I try to answer questions, but I try to make it fun. We're three people like sitting in the back of a deck, you know, looking into the sunset and having a couple brews.
That was the most chill, easy, fun podcast ever. Man, that was great. That was really fun.
We really appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
All right, and everybody else, thank you for listening to Horror Pop Out.